Struggling to hold yourself accountable? Is it having an impact on your life and the lives of the people around you? Is it affecting your business, the way you show up, the way you perform? Well, guess what? You have an accountability problem, and I'm just your girl to solve it. My name is Monique Walker, and I am the founder of Don't Cosign Craziness. I run an accountability company. The focus is to help people like you, an ambitious, well educated entrepreneur, get to the place of success, no more complacency, no more procrastination. But of course, there was a journey that I had to go through in order to arrive at this place, right? Like, we don't just arrive at these places without going through some things. So, I'm going to share with you some of my life journey of different types of accountability that I had to go through, whether it be through self accountability or through being held accountable by the people that were around me that did not want me to fail or to lose. So, the first thing that comes to mind when I think about accountability, I just remember thinking way back when that things had to be different. At this point, I was in a situationship, I guess is what you call it, right? Because we weren't married and I was having his children. And he left, which was good. It's actually a really good thing, y'all. He left, and I was now responsible for not only myself, but all of my children as well, 6 children. So, in that situation, what I found myself doing is taking responsibility for myself spiritually. In that season, I connected with God like no other. So, what does spiritual accountability look like? I'm going to give you three things. Three things. It looks like reading the Bible. That was my number one thing because that's the only way that I can understand God's voice or know his word or understand what it is that he's communicating with me are communicating to me. So that leads me to number two, which is listening closely to what it is that he had to tell me, paying attention to the different signs of however it is that he chose to communicate with me, and making sure that it aligned with number one, his word. I was given very explicit instructions in that time, and I was accountable for following through on those instructions because I knew that I did not have what it took in that season to care for myself plus 6 other people. This issue was so much bigger than me. So, there you go. Reading, listening, and then praising him. So praise, worship. I'm going to put those all together. What did that look like? That looked like sacrifices of prayer, worship music, spending alone time with him, just being in his presence. So spiritual accountability is actually the foundation to everything that I am today. It's foundational because before, when I wasn't accountable, my life was in shambles. And I don't know if you can relate. Your life may be in shambles, secret, because you're not spiritually accountable. You want to be accountable to self. Let's see how far self can take you. But if you choose accountability to a God who's everywhere at all times, all powerful, who knows everything, I mean, to me, that just made sense. I don't have to take responsibility for all of that. So, spiritual accountability is what gave me the freedom to do the other categories, take responsibility for the other categories of accountability in my life. The second accountability that I'm going to talk about is physical accountability. So, for those who know my journey, you know the journey, but for those of you who don't know me, there was a time where I had extremely long straight hair. Well, the hair eventually started migrating up, 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 and I would spend countless hours at the salon, unnecessary hours at the salon, until I started taking physical accountability. So, in the spiritual side of things, God was saying, if I'm living in you, you must take care of your body. So, what does that look like? Eat well, get enough rest, drink enough water, exercise. Now, the exercising piece was a problem because it conflicted with what I wanted to do with my hair. So it was either exercise and serve God or get rid of the hair and then not go to the salon. So I had to do, I guess, all of the above. Exercise to serve him, but the hair, which was the barrier between me and wanting to exercise effectively because I was concerned of how my hair would look and I was concerned that I was sweating in my head. So eventually what I did was I did the big buzz, zzz, cut it all off so that I can take care of this vessel that the Holy Spirit lives in. So my spiritual health led to me caring for my physical health, which led to me changing and coming into my real identity, which is super cool. And then ultimately, what happened was my mental health, I became accountable for my mental health. So my mind was being renewed as I was reading the Bible. My physical self was being renewed as I ate well. I drank enough water. I exercised. I got adequate rest. And now the renewal of the mind came from what? Spiritual accountability. So you see, spiritual accountability is foundational for all that we do. So in the realm of or the domain, let's call it the domain of mental accountability, I had to take accountability for my mentation, what I was meditating on, the words that I spoke. I had to also be sure that I was consuming the right things. So what did consumption look like? Consumption looked like no longer watching junk TV because I just can't. Even to this day, I can't watch TV. So no more watching junk TV and instead consuming information that would be beneficial, not just to me, but to my children. Here's what the bottom line is. Your mental health is very important. Taking full accountability for your mental space is very important. Mental accountability is very important. So, reading, watching my consumption, being mindful of my words, all very important because guess what? All of these things work together spiritually, physically, mentally, which ultimately is responsible for our emotional health. Now, if you have heard my TED Talk, then you've heard it. If not, you can go look it up. It's called Don't Cosign Craziness. Unforgiveness is Making You Sick. I've been through multiple things in life, and I'm not the only one. I'm going to call them things, but I guess probably the best word for it is, or the best word is traumas. I've been through multiple traumas in life. And emotionally, when you go through those processes, your emotions can be very haywire, unstable. You become dysregulated. So, in order to become emotionally regulated, emotionally intelligent, all of those foundational things, the spiritual things, the physical things, the mental things that I mentioned earlier, those were in place. And then came the emotional piece, which I was no longer carrying the responsibility of emotional baggage because it wasn't my responsibility to carry it. While many of us have gone through a lot of different experiences that may be considered traumatic or maybe just hard to let go of, it's important to realize it's not our responsibility to carry it. It's not. But what it is, it's our responsibility to heal from it. It's not our fault that it happened, but it's our responsibility to heal. So, how does this all apply to your business? Well, in these different domains that we talked about spiritual accountability, we talked about physical accountability, we talked about mental accountability, and we talked about emotional accountability. If you're unstable in any one of these four pillars, you can forget about running a business. Because if you are not spiritually grounded, it's easy to make bad decisions. Decisions not based on principles, but decisions based on probably emotions or moral fractures, right? Making decisions that might not be good because you don't have any accountability to a higher power. If you're not physically accountable, you're out of shape. I'm sorry. What are you doing? What's the point of you being in business if you're struggling in your health? You got to get up and take care of yourself so that you can show up and you can be the best version of yourself every day. So if you're struggling in that domain, the insecurities seep in, maybe health issues seep in, lack of energy sleeps may seep in. So that's an area to consider seriously. How am I doing physically? Mentally, the same exact premise. Mental stability is important in order to interact effectively with the public, with your clients, with managing accounts, with doing the goal setting and moving forward into whatever it is that you have planned. And then that last piece, that emotional piece, nobody wants to carry another person's baggage. It is what it is, right? So emotional stability is very important when working in your business. When you're making serious decisions, you have to be emotionally stable, emotionally sound. All in all, I survived it. And thankfully, I'm on the other side of the different things that I've experienced. And for those of us who are in business, we know that it can be a very lonely place and it can be very challenging. However, what I do want to say to you is having your accountability, especially those four domains in place and in order, is very important for you to move forward into building a business that is going to be successful, that is going to generate revenue and increase over time. But if for some reason you find that you're seeing patterns of procrastination, or maybe you just want to have an accountability group because you value accountability, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to respond on this video, accountability, accountability. And I will reach out to you and we can have a conversation of such. But I was just feeling like it was time to finally reopen this conversation about accountability as opposed to just being here at home talking about it with everyone. Figured I'd open it up in the online space. What are your thoughts? How are you doing with your business and holding yourself accountable? Are you stable in all four domains that we talked about? A pleasure. It's been a pleasure having this conversation. I'll see you on the next one. As a matter of fact, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and click that bell if you want more. Take care.